All right, welcome to episode 107 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Powers, and joining me on this only the two of us co-op adventure, audio or video wise, Steven.
Hello, there's only half of us, just like half candy.
Yeah, we've basically scared off most of the other people. I've tried to stay away from the candy. Being diabetic, I probably don't need that, though I want it.
Yeah, there's just too many good deals, and for me, I found a nice little hack for diabetic like myself as well. You kind of limit yourself to 250 calories, so if you can do the math on the back of the package, put that in a Tupperware, and that's all you can have for the day, so you're not like wondering why your bag of Snickers is empty by the end of the day. So it works well.
Yeah, I'm just like, hey, don't tell me where they are. Just sprinkle them out to me, but don't let me know, because if I don't know where they are, I won't think about them.
And
ADHD and diabetic, it just works together.
It's the only time of year where I can get Nerds candy corn, which is probably the only acceptable version of candy corn, and it was only $1.74.
There is a lot of acceptable forms of candy corn, being candy corn. I am a candy corn person. I'm okay with that.
I am okay with different flavors of it, but not the original.
Who knows? So we have had an interesting day. This is our second time recording this opening because the first time weirdly froze up on us, which was kind of funny. We might have that at the end of the show as a little blooper, but we only got like, a minute, 41 seconds before it all just locked up. Oh, respond. I thought you froze up again for a second. I was like, no.
Deja vu all over again.
God, we've made it past that point. Don't do that to me again. So I ended up having to run. I ran all the way to Pensacola with my good friend Brent, also known as Insomniac. We went to Pensacola to go check out Hyperspace Toys, and then the what's the name of that store again? The Video Game Trading Post. Good people. I bought a bunch of stuff there. We'll go over that in a minute. But I have weird stories of what happened beforehand. So I'll go ahead and go into what I've been doing because I want to get this one out of the way. Have you ever heard of the Ironman triathlon?
Yeah.
Well, we were trying to avoid that going from Panama City to Pensacola, and GPS was like, hey, there's a road out. We're going to have you go this way. I was like, hey, that's new. Let's do it. And it put us into the damn race. We were stuck behind and in between all these bikers. And what happened freaked me kind of weirdly out. I look ahead of us at the guy that's there, and we're in an electric car driving along. And all of a sudden I see him kind of kick his leg up, reaches his hand down, and the man just whips it out and starts peeing off his bike right in front of us. To the point at first we were like, I thought he was like pouring out a water bottle. The man had to go. He was going.
It's called Wii cycling.
Oh, God. Brent was like, I don't see what you're talking about. I'm like, dude, it's making a line down the road. Like, what the hell? So I've seen things today I did not want to see. And it makes you wonder how many people do that. And then the worst part about it, right after this, mind you, he didn't wash his hands. We get to a point where there's people handing out water and fruit. And with the same hand he just grabbed his junk with and peed out of a bike, he just grabs water and fruit from people. And I'm like, oh, y'all need to wash your hands, because that guy just... We're trying to like get away from the pee, and I'm like, he kind of just peed on my car. Like, if it had been windier, if we had God help you if you're in a convertible behind him. Like, dude, just going. And I get they got to go somewhere, but you never think about that. You know,
it's like they used to say, nobody beats the whiz.
Yeah, like, do you run the triathlon and just save it for the swimming part and just go there?
Do you want to tell your fellow athletes that you came in such and such place because you had to go?
Yeah, is that considered like offloading some weight? Like, are you? But yeah, I've seen a man pee off a bike today.
Increasing their wind stream.
So I never thought I'd actually have a story about a man peeing off a bike to tell about, but whatever. But I did pick up a couple games while I was out. Specifically, you and I had talked about this before. Dead Space 3 for the 360. We are going to try and do the co-op mode on this. Because when I found out that was there and I realized I didn't have the game, I went out and ended up buying it today. So hopefully we'll be playing that. We might try and stream it if you feel like it, or we can just play this for fun and tell you guys about it.
We could stream it, especially if we could get it to work with both our faces on there.
Yeah, it'd be a little. I think we could do that. We'll have to. I'll take a look at it and see what we can do. The trickier one I got is I got the PS3 version of Dead Space 2 I found, but it's the limited edition, which is the only way to physically get for PS3 Dead Space Extraction, which is the prequel. So I'm kind of excited to try that, which means I think I have all the Dead Space games now, at least most of them. So that's fun. Beyond that weirdness of all the other stuff we've been doing, I bought some albums too, and you and I were looking this up. So this one is a Resident Evil album that has like a soundtrack for the first part of it, and then the rest of it is a radio drama of the first game. I haven't had a chance to listen to it yet. I've only been home for like maybe 30 minutes. I literally got here, set up the show so we could do this. But I really want to try it. I may even try and record the audio so we can hear, but hopefully at least once I want to make sure they have someone go like, man, you were almost a Jill sandwich. Yeah. The other one I picked
up,
a
master of unlocking in there.
Yeah, there better be. Jill, you, the master of unlocking. I got the soundtrack for Kirby's Adventure on the NES, which my daughter's going to lose her damn mind when she finds out about this, because Kirby being her favorite character and enjoying the music, she's going to want to play with my record player now. But I'm looking forward to those. I like good soundtracks. They had one I almost bought. It's like four vinyls long, but it was the Celeste soundtrack, like a collector's edition. I thought it was expensive, but it was really nice.
Oof,
yeah. Oh, it was up there.
Yeah, I have maybe 10 or 12 vinyls, but I just buy them to buy them. I don't open them.
I got a whole little collection that I like to listen to. Like these aren't the first video game ones I bought. I got the one from the recent Ninja Turtles game. When I bought that edition, I got the one with the vinyl, which was really good.
Yeah, I got a few other CDs for those.
Yeah, I wanted that vinyl. Beyond that, a lot of the stuff that you and I have been doing together, what we've been playing, is what we can talk about. Is we finally played some Super Mario Party 3, or just Mario Party 3. I don't know why I added Super on there. And that game is still a cheating bastard.
Yeah, the Red Menace basically said, "This is my name's on the box, so I win."
Yeah, he got all the extra stars and just came out of nowhere and won.
Although Daisy was a wench for a while. Until I stole all her coins.
Yeah, I have learned you have an absolute hate for Daisy, and it is great. You were just saying stuff. I was like, good God, man. What did she do to you?
She's my nemesis.
No kidding. But it was a lot of fun. It was actually one of the first times I played the Nintendo 64 games online, and it worked really well. I think I'm looking forward to doing that again. We've got a bunch of other ones we could play. But then we switched over to Mario Kart 64, which thankfully also worked well. We just kind of went through a couple races, and I got absolutely stomped until we were fighting each other with like the Yoshi's level. That got nasty. I kept dropping off of stuff.
Yeah, there's parts of Mario Kart 64 that are very unforgiving.
No kidding.
And there's ways to, like you did to me on Wario Stadium, that the thunder can be used very strategically, especially since a lot of times you can see your opponent's screen.
Oh, I was straight up a bastard about that one. As soon as you
hit that jump, well, that jump's not going to work now.
Yeah, if I hit you with it, you get really tiny. You're just like, wee, and you fall down, and you lose like half a lap. Like it's destructive.
Oh yeah.
And then we finally switched over to Overcooked 2, and learn we can kind of work together for food, but it is. Some of those levels are just complicated.
To be fair, we did the tutorial level and then we just jumped into how far you were already into it. So we went from chop the meat, cook it and serve it, to here's the 5 ingredients to make a burrito.
Yeah. make this, boil the rice, cook the meat, put those together, put it on a plate, get it out there. Yeah, it's only getting worse. We probably need to get more people.
As more chaos happens too, because then you're yelling at your friends. Like, no, don't bump into
Yelling,
me. Only cook this. Chop
yelling
this.
was occurring, yes. So beyond that, what else you been up to? What have you been doing?
Ditto. Okay, no. No, it was nice to look through the N64 games and see how they worked. I remember seeing a speed run done with 2 players for Gunstar Heroes, and I was fully impressed that not only were they streaming that to the masses on Games Done Quick, but to see kind of an absence of lag. I guess it's the one thing I can't fault Nintendo too much for, which makes me wonder like how smooth GoldenEye runs sometimes.
We should try that.
But GoldenEye, I heard, also has lobbies, so that might be how it's a little weirder.
That'd be a fun one to try because we have it on Switch and I have it on Xbox for the rare replay.
Park 64 is interesting because we're spoiled by Deluxe 8 Deluxe, where a lot of these tracks are in. So, kind of
holds up.
Kind of like when tripping was in, what was it, Super Smash Bros. Brawl. Horrible mechanic. Yeah. Jeremy and I were unfortunately reintroduced to the horrible Mario Kart concept known as bombs just randomly throughout the track. So it's not just about driving and beating your opponent. It's, oh yeah, all the tracks are full of bombs for no apparent reason.
And I kept running into them over and over again, especially what was the train level? I just completely, not even ironically, got derailed by that. Didn't even hit the train. It was all the bombs.
It was the best exclusion from Mario Kart further ones.
Well, it didn't help that I put us on 150cc right away.
Yeah, I was like, what is he doing?
I was like, it's all Mario Kart. We can do 150. We'll be fine. And then we pick levels like the Yoshi one and we're just flying off the sides.
And then Overcooked was good. I do eventually want to do a string of games like that because as well as Overcooked, there's Manic Mechanics. There's what was the other one? Moving Out?
Yeah, I found my copy of Moving Out, so I own that one physically, so we can play that.
There's Shakes on a Plane.
I haven't played that one.
There's Lost in Space. So there's a lot of them that you walk around, you can always see all of us.
I wish Affordable Space Adventure had an online co-op mode. That game is just, it's so fun.
Yeah, that was fantastic. I loved beating that game.
Yeah, that was a good one, but they never had online. We need to, if you still have a Wii U set up somewhere, we need to try and go through some of those multiplayer games while we still can. Until April, before they shut it off. Yeah, but I want to go through like my Wii U collection and play a couple of those just to kind of catalog how it was online. Because I've got, some of them are still on there, like even the Call of Duties, like I have available to play. So,
nice. Yeah. And then lastly, for like I said, the last episode, that after the episode was done, I was going to do a Dead Space remake in the complete dark with the sound on, run. For the most part, it went smooth. There was times where like my cat would show up or get stuck somewhere in my room, so I'd have to turn on the light. And when I finally got settled in, I was tinkering so much with the options to get the audio where I wanted it to be, to get the subtitles the proper size, and to decide whether to do performance or fidelity. It's like which one. I eventually went with performance because they didn't have motion blur for the game, and kind of along Rachel's end of things, I do not like the new Isaac. I don't like the new face.
Really?
He went from like a grizzled guy who obviously has been tired doing all the stuff he's been doing in space to an insurance salesman. So seeing a super clean cut guy was a little off.
You know, that's the voice actor motion capture guy is who they gave him the actual look now.
Yeah, I don't like that excuse. It's like, well, now it's him. I'm like, good for him.
It's literally. Well, I know Mario doesn't look like Charles Martinet or the new guy, so
he's Isaac Ark. just like Tom Holland. It's like you're not. That's not my Isaac. But anyway, there's something.
Childhood ruined.
There's something to be said about sometimes going into certain remakes because I eventually need to get to the part in the game. I didn't get very far, but I need to get to the part in the game where everybody just shuts up and stops talking to me because I was never really scared because people kept talking to me and I kept seeing my dude saying like, "We're over here. Come to us." And I was like, "Die already." So I want to be
Yeah.
alone.
You have
Alone
to
is so much
be
scarier.
onboarded for a little bit to kind of build up the tension of what's going on, because that's part of the terror. It's like you get there, you kind of start to figure out what's going on, and then people get separated. And you'll still talk to people, but not as actively. So
That
it does
and
get way darker.
That and I don't know. I
Literally.
gotta go back and play the original, but I don't know if it was such a bigger thing in the original from the remake.
Mm-hmm.
But another thing I felt was the music would kind of spoil things more for me. It was very loud and in my face when they showed up. That I'm like, okay, now instead of getting scared, I'm like, okay, now I'm just looking for where this necromorph or whatever you want to call it today is, and in the past that I remember, it was mainly just the sounds and then their groaning and screams that would happen. So I'm wondering if I should just turn off the music.
I wouldn't turn off the music. It will mess with you with that. Don't rely on that being every time. I mean, they'll have the dramatic stuff, but then you don't always know what's going on with it. That game freaked me out. Like while I was playing it, like it did get some really good moments of tension and stuff going on. And I think once you get further in,
Yeah, I did think it was funny with the giant warning in the beginning, and then you could turn content warnings on to warn you that something disturbing is coming up. And I'm like, nah.
yeah, I understand why, because they do not mess around in this game. Like they show a lot of stuff, which is
But
great.
even though spoopy season is over, I'm probably still going to power through it just so I have a good basis of comparison of my. Actually, no, this will be my third or fourth remake I played completely through because I've done all the Resident Evil remakes except for 4.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't a fan of how they changed Resident Evil 3. Uh, Kind of anticlimactic in my eyes while giving a bigger part to some of the side characters. So
Mm-hmm.
it's like a new game to me. It was just like another Resident Evil game, like a Revelations 3. So
Right.
I was okay with that. But yeah, I look forward to more because Dead Space has always been a favorite of mine, and I can't wait you to play the Isaac side of 3 co-op.
Yeah, I'm still really interested because you were talking about like the psychosis and things. Like one of us will start seeing things while the other doesn't.
So you never played 3?
No, like
Okay.
I saw little bits of it, but I never played it much.
Okay. So
I
yeah.
have it on PC because it was one of those. It was like EA gave it away for free and stuff, so I could play it on that. And I only played a little bit, like part of
Okay.
the
So
opening.
so yeah. So it's going to be fantastic.
Yes, I'm going into this pretty much new on this, which will be fun because after I played through Dead Space remake earlier this year, so I'm kind of already still back into that, and want to see between that and Extraction how that works because I loved Extraction on the Wii. Like it was a really good game. If that's how you get to play it, 100%, it's still awesome. You can play it on the Wii U, stuff like that, and I'm gonna try the PS3 one now that I have it physically because I never downloaded it. I don't think it's available to download anymore. So I can get that installed on there, get my my Move motion controls out, which I have to get charged anyways because I've got some
Now
of
you
my
just have to
VR
get
games back in.
now you just have to get the 360 version of NBA Jam so you can play as Isaac Clarke again.
Oh god, I didn't know about that.
He's so heavy in that game. It's so hard to run and dunk, but to see him in full body armor doing that, great.
Can you dismember other players? He's going for the basket. His arm's gone. That's how you kill him.
Boom shakalaka.
Nice. All right. Let us get into some news. One day I'll have actual sound effects for this that are better. One day. I always forget to do it. Whatever. Um, so let's start off with some weird Microsoft news. This came off kind of out of the blue for people, and there was a lot of people not happy about it, myself included, because this kind of screws me on something I was doing. But Microsoft has announced and begun implementing a ban on unauthorized controllers and adapters for Xbox One, Series X, and Series S. So, what this does is you're going to get an error code OX82D60002 whenever an unauthorized third-party controller is plugged into the system. You're given about 2 weeks that you're allowed to use that device, and then afterwards, you get the same error, but it ends in a 3 and says, we encourage you to contact the store or manufacturer where you obtain the accessory to get help with returning it, and will permanently ban that item for use on those systems. And this isn't even just the Series X. This is going back to the Xbox One. So this could be an accessory you've been using since 2012, or before that in my case, because I was going to use my X Arcade tank stick for Street Fighter 6. I was trying to get the Xbox One adapter so I could use it. And they have now officially they don't sell it anymore. They took it off the site, which sucks because I was like, I love that tank stick. I've been using it for a long time now. Because that was its purpose. It could be upgraded and it could move over. But this affects a lot of people in the fighting game community because there's entire swaths of it that use a particular stick and they use adapters to use it on different gaming systems. Between PC, between PS4, PS5, Series X, Xbox One, things like that. And if they're no longer able to use those adapters to play on these systems, some places have already started removing Xbox as an option for fighting game tournaments, just outright. And that's really not going to help. The other concern is people that do modifications to controllers, not for cheating and stuff, because that, of course, is the excuse for a lot of this, is to limit cheating. And I understand the fact of trying to stop that. But there's also a lot of people that do modifications for accessibility options, trying to make a one-handed controller and so forth. And while it will not block stuff with their accessibility controller, which is good, they should not be doing that. You can have third-party sticks and so forth, plug them in, and they'll work through that. But modifications to normal controllers for someone that may not need that, that full setup kind of limits what you can do. Do you have any thoughts on this one, Steven?
So this is, I'm trying to think of anything else that kind of went this route or had this kind of functionality, because it's one thing to, have the system read what the adapter is supposed to try to be doing and block that, like the cheating devices,
right?
And stuff that can modify and stuff like that. But it begs the question, because there's all these little companies too that work fine because they are licensed to play on Xbox. That if those little companies can do it, how much is it to just be licensed to be supported by Xbox? And is it a simple switch to turn on, off, and on to unblock? Personally, I feel like someone like X Arcade knows that they'd be kind of alienating a big part of their business. And I know some of these might get even more negative press because they might be like, no returns. You've had it for how long?
Right.
It's not our fault that the company did this. But on the other end, until somebody can kind of, unless it's protected under some kind of contract, kind of put out what's the pricing here for a license. Because if, like I said, if all these little companies, and I don't consider 8-Bit Dough even that large of a company. So
they still do a lot of stuff.
So even their arcade stick is licensed, fully licensed to go. So and a lot of those work on multiple systems because of either the Bluetooth functionality or the USB. So, right. I kind of want to see where this goes, just because, like, while people got the error code, and then it took 2 weeks for it to be banned from use. I'm wondering if eventually, especially with who they bought recently, Activision, Call of Duty, what's going to happen here. Are they going to come out with some kind of press release, or just like this was to combat this and this? And are they going to pull a Nintendo Creator Program thing where they're like, just put everything through us first so we can kind of oversee everything that's being supported on Xbox?
Right. Because some of this is like, speaking of Activision, some of the stuff that's being blocked are the adapters people use to use some of the Guitar Hero guitars. The wireless adapters and stuff like that are to use the old accessories for those, because they did have Rock Band 4 on the Xbox One. So people wanted to use those instruments because getting the other ones are just about damn near impossible or not supported. And so that's going to completely kind of cut a lot of those people out too. But that's not something anyone's going to be paying for a license, because it's not an active market. They're not selling that game anymore. It's just letting people be able to play it at all. So I don't know. I'm kind of back and forth on this one. I understand the reasoning why they're trying to do it. I think this is something else where one part of the group acted without actually telling the other part, because it's kind of catching people by surprise.
So you mean like Microsoft employees not getting their Game Pass Ultimate, and Phil Spencer not hearing anything about that, so he got it reversed.
Yeah.
So the other party doesn't hear about it.
Exactly.
So
good way to get that story
right
in
now.
there.
I am tentatively concerned.
Yes.
I want to see this, how this pans out. Is it going to go all the way through, and it's going to trend everywhere that this is horrible, especially in the wake of buying Call of Duty itself, Activision, or is it going to be something where it was just like an isolated incident?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of people in the accessibility community that are telling people don't freak out. Microsoft's been really good about this in the past. Let's let them try and clarify it. And like I said, I understand part of why they're doing it. There are a lot of people that use cheat devices and things, trying to use mouse and keyboard when you're not supposed to. So they get the auto aim assist while using those, and they get better, ability to play. You're trying to weed that out, and it's kind of like, hey, to get rid of this, we're going to have to kind of get rid of a grouping of things. Hopefully they can work out a happy medium to do that, because no matter which way they do it, someone's going to get affected. And I don't think they're any way they're going to come out of this smelling like roses. It's just not possible. But they're going to have to do something, because it's either going to be rampant cheating of people using these devices, or you just completely blanket get rid of them and it takes out innocence as well. You can't really do both. So that'll probably go on for a little while longer. I'm curious to see how it, eventually plays out, which sucks, because I'm going to have to buy myself a new fighting stick for Street Fighter 6. And I was like, I really wanted to play that more. I love that stick. I've been using it, good God, since the GameCube.
Just another reason I'm a pad player.
I'll be a pad player if I have to, but I like my fighting sticks. Damn it. Anyways. All right. So if you guys use Facebook, you're aware that is free. But if you're in the UK, you might actually have an option to pay for it. So Facebook is testing a plan to charge for Facebook and Instagram access in the UK that will have no ads. This also will not specifically track any of your data, like take, for reference and so forth. This is going to be, we have no idea if this is coming to any other region. This is only in those markets. It's $9.99 in pounds per month, $12.99 if you have an iPhone or Android, if you pay through them, because they mark it up for the percentage they take. Meta stated in a blog post about this idea, quote, "We respect the spirit and purpose of these evolving European regulations and are committed to complying with them." So they will continue to offer the free ad-supported model, and that the ad-free one will be available to users 18 and up for the EU, EEA, and Switzerland. And a lot of this is to comply with some of the UK rulings about data tracking, that you have to have the option to opt out of that. And since they're using it for AdSense and things like that, they're saying, hey, if you'll pay this fee for it, we will take all of that away and see how it works. And I'm curious if that will actually last. After March 1st, 2024, there'll be an additional £6, £8 for iPhone and Android per linked account, which I wasn't 100% sure what that would actually mean by linked account, if it was like a sub account to it or something. And then as long as you're subscribed, your data is not to be used for ad targeting and research. So, Stephen, if this was the option for Facebook, would you be willing to pay for it to have no ads or no tracking?
So I don't care too much about the tracking because there's cookies in my internet. There's
Cookies.
There's my phone's listening to me no matter what you do to your phone.
Yeah, it's listening to us now probably.
Because social media will just feed me ads for what I like. And it's fine. I see stuff I bought recently in my ads. However, if this was maybe half the price and I really used Facebook a lot, I would entertain it at $5 because the ads on Facebook are horrendous. And to make things worse, you can almost never get it in chronological order. It's disgusting that you have to just be fed what they think you want to see first when that's not true.
Yeah, and it's not just Facebook, it's Instagram too, which is also atrocious for that.
And, I feel bad for the rest of the world that has to go through these different things. Right now, currently, it seems in the US, the big thing we have is for $5, you can have all your ads removed from TikTok. But I'm like, it takes 1 second for me to swipe to the next thing. So I was like, I don't really care. And there's so many people going live and doing commission-based TikToks that I was like, you can't really get away from like commercials or selling, but at least you can swipe through them incredibly quick. So it doesn't bother me. It doesn't clog up my feed because TikTok is just fed to you. Facebook is supposed to be where you're trying to see what your friends are up to and stuff like that, or a new post from your favorite company, but instead you get like tons of ads. And I would say probably about 100% of the stores on those ads are not in the US. So you don't know what you're going to get. It's like a Wish Temu situation. So
yeah, they scam me.
Maybe go after that a little bit more. And that also reminds me that over in the New Zealand and Philippines, they're going with the dollar fee for Twitter. That if you do not want to pay the dollar, it's an annual charge, so it's $1 a year. I know that sounds amazing, everybody, but for that $1 a year, you're allowed to tweet and retweet, and it only affects new users, which not existing. I'm like, well, way to incentivize, trying to build your brand even more, or build your audience. If everybody's leaving for like all these other Threads and Blue Sky and Hive and everything else,
Hive.
You're charging $1. Hive should be giving me $1 to sign up, because it's so complicated.
I still think Hive is never going to survive if they don't get a damn browser-based version, but that's beside the point.
It's like driving the Ishimura without any experience. It's like, no, it's not going to happen.
We can do it.
So yeah, like I could get behind some of this, but not for that amount, and not for them to, with the linked accounts and stuff and such. It just seems more predatory after that to charge that much. Because most apps or things that have ads, leave that to the streaming service that thinks that ads cost so much that they need to charge you $50 more to get rid of them.
Yeah, streaming service doing that has been a whole mess recently.
The biggest thing from this was even YouTube now. If you're used to having an ad blocker on your computer or device, YouTube now can see that, and it'll say you can watch 3 more videos, but then we're cutting you off, like until you uninstall or get rid of that ad blocker.
And I'm sure it's just a matter of somebody figuring out what they're looking for and changing the code, and it's a constant back and forth fight on that. All right, so if you've been playing Mortal Kombat 1 this holiday season, you may have seen that there was a $12 Halloween fatality that was added to the game. Just one single fatality, $12 in an already $70 game. this is ridiculous, and they have gotten so much shit for it that they deserve. Have you seen this fatality yet, Steven?
I have the way that they. I will describe it for the viewers listening and not watching. You can also Google it
I
if
say
you
we can't
dare.
react it anyways. I can't
Um,
do it.
it's basically the person smashes a pumpkin on top of your head. Bugs crawl from everywhere into the pumpkin and pretty much eat your head alive. And then you kneel down because you're in pain, obviously. And then the other guy just kicks the pumpkin as hard as he can, decapitating you. It lands on a doorstep for trick or treating, and that's the end. $12.
$12 for that.
Um,
No.
there, there is to be kind of why are they picking on this fatality? There are costumes, like if you wanted Scorpion's outfit from Deadly Alliance,
hmm
because you were a fan of that game, $10 for
Oh,
just one
jeez.
character's um, appearance. And I'm like,
hmm
okay, at least that you can show off online and stuff. Halloween fatality. Who wants to do that any other time of the year? It's kind of like, not pointless.
Yeah.
Um,
And you'd have to
but,
win if you have it. Like if you keep losing, like if you suck at the game, then you don't even get to use it.
but yeah, this comes in a wake where I don't know what fighting game developers are doing. We already went over how horrible it was to buy the turtles in Street Fighter 6.
Yes.
They're all incredibly expensive, and you can't really do too much to them because they're stuck as the turtles, and that's about it. So you can't make like a turtle from Pirates of the Caribbean, like a pirate turtle, like you can't make it like your favorite toys. Is what I'm
Yeah.
saying.
You can't make an
And
astronaut one. Can't do any of that stuff. Can't make a skater
so
one.
so like we always gloss over like, oh, a new character, that's a good price because yeah, you're getting a whole character. So season passes even make sense to me because of how much is put into that, how much
Right.
work. But when you have, hey, this is going to be just a costume, but we're going to charge you this much. Like, it's a little much now.
I mean, it'd be a little high, but like a $5 Halloween fatality, I think would have been fine. I think
Yeah.
$5 would have been, we're like, hey, nobody even think about it. Oh, that's kind of neat. I'd like to get that. $5. It's easy. But 12, that's more than costumes. And that's more than some characters go for. Like, I
Now, if
mean,
for $12 you could buy a, I don't know, like a pumpkin head or some kind of Halloween costume that came with the fatality, or say I would even bump it up to $20. Hear me out,
mhm,
$20, and offer it as a Halloween pack, and as well as the Halloween fatality that you could attach to anybody. Give us like
mhm.
a couple costumes for characters that make sense. That maybe Ed Boon and them could find out a really good character model that could fit over it and still use those animations.
Yeah, or just have like
Um,
some kind of Halloween add-on because I think you can customize some of them. Like, just add something to the characters. Do
or
something.
give us a stage, a
Yeah, Halloween
costume,
age would be
and a
nice.
fatality all
Yeah,
together.
that would make more sense. I just
Because it harkens back to Smash Brothers Ultimate that a lot of theirs you would have to buy all the stages, you'd have to buy all the Miis if you wanted them, and that would come into some cost.
mhm.
But some of the stages, though, if you bought the stage, you got the music, you got a new
Yeah,
track, so that was perfect.
I just and this is what I think killed Street Fighter Five for a lot of people. Because it was nickeled and dimed to death, where you're always having to buy stuff for it. And I get that for fighting games, it's an active title that you're changing and growing and adding stuff to it, but there has to be some kind of reasonable cost to it.
I would
Uh,
also say what helps with why some companies they're being overlooked for it.
mhm.
Give us a choice. Can we earn them? And is it a reasonable earning? And that's what Street Fighter Five had a problem with. Was it was unreasonable the amount you had to earn.
Yeah.
But if they make it where it's fair and it would just take you maybe a day to do, it's kind of like you know um, when Tetris 99 does their new themes. You have to get to this many points and we'll give you the theme.
Right.
It's like just make it something that you can see your player count bump, and maybe maybe they'll be like, oh, I remember this. This is a lot of fun, and they'll stay on, and maybe they'll just be like, well, that was cool, and go off again. Either way, you're still getting engagement.
And that's like a lot of the stuff, like, Fortnite. There's a lot of different costumes and things that pop up. And of course, what you're willing to pay for those. Some of them get kind of high for the licensing fees. Some of them are a little bit more reasonable, but you get those costumes. You can use them in different ways, mix and match them. Like, they're not just for that, like I bought the Ghostbuster stuff because of course I did, since I actually went as a Ghostbuster this Halloween for the first time. Meant to mention that earlier. I finally started doing cosplay. But I can take that proton pack and put it on Master Chief if I want to, because he's in there. Or have Kratos wearing the proton pack and running around while, using Wolverine's claws or something ridiculous. Like, you can mix and match them in ways that you really probably license wise couldn't, with very few exceptions. Like, you can't give anyone Doctor Doom's cape, or only certain people can hold Thor's hammer. Like, they actually do stick to that. But you get something for what you pay for that can be transferable. So I don't know. I really want Mortal Kombat to be good, but I'm worried how it's going to be if they're going to just hopefully this is, they learn a lesson from this.
Yeah, hopefully this was a test, because as we all know with DLC, you can put it all on sale, or even do a permanent price drop. And
Yeah.
as far as I've been hearing, people are thoroughly enjoying Mortal Kombat 1. It's the most fun they've had in a while.
Yeah, I've heard good things about it. I want to make sure it's going to be, I always prefer getting Mortal Kombat when there are the complete editions, or at least some kind of enhanced one that has all the content included with it. Later on down the line, I'll pay full price to get that and have it. I mean, heck, I just did the Humble Bundle to get Mortal Kombat XL and then 11 Deluxe with all of its stuff. So I can play those on my Steam Deck. If it actually worked, because that's a story we'll talk about here in a bit, that they help, but we'll get to that. So our next thing we're going to talk about here is yet another gaming company is having layoffs.
Every episode so far.
Every freaking episode. They need to stop this. Like, this is ridiculous. And there's actually another company on top of this one we haven't even covered yet. We're trying to find the news on that one. But so Bungie is now the latest company to do it. And they've let about 8% of their staff go. That's a little over around 100 staff out of 1,200. Apparently the money Bungie was expecting to come in from Destiny 2 this year was 45% below their expectations. And then to make it worse, we had Bungie CEO Pete Parsons stated, quote, "Today is a sad day at Bungie as we say goodbye to colleagues who have all made a significant impact on our studio. What these exceptional individuals have contributed to our games and Bungie culture has been enormous and will continue to be a part of Bungie long into the future." Which sounds heartfelt. Until they have a town hall, and he is reported to be saying, quote, that people left after the layoffs that they had kept the right people to keep working on Destiny 2. So if you thought so highly of these people, but now you're saying that you got rid of them and kept the right ones to make it better, where does he land on this? Like, and they handled this very badly. People were called in on their day offs to go to this meeting just to find out they were laid off. Some people weren't even told, they were just locked out. So they had no way to communicate with anybody else or do anything. It just kind of went from there. Their QA department was almost wiped out, and many are on administrative warnings. So many were let go or placed on these warnings in the weeks leading up to the layoffs that the head of QA had to send an email around assuring people that there were no layoffs. And this is also about a year and a half after that Sony had purchased Bungie, and Bungie had told employees there will not be layoffs, we'll be fine. So of course that, we don't know what the timetable on that is, but it did not last. Impacted teams include community team, art, engineering, recruiting, legal, audio, QA, as I mentioned before, creative studios, and IT. And then on top of this, Bungie just completed a massive new headquarters being built that they can move into that's almost double the size of the one they currently have. Nothing about this looks good. So even on top of that, Bungie then announced that the final Destiny 2 expansion, the final shape, will be delayed to January 2024, and the new Marathon game has been delayed until at least 2025.
We don't have enough people to work on it.
Yeah. I mean, then they got rid of like industry legends that were, you know, that helped build up Halo, that helped build up, some of these people were there since Oni on the PlayStation 2, or helped build up a lot of these things. They ended up just getting rid of them as well. So it kind of doesn't fit with him saying we kept the right people.
Yeah,
While everyone's wondering, where did this come from?
it
So,
always seems like it's some kind of like names out of a hat, like, because especially with this back and forth, that you wonder, how did you come across who to let go? Because if you're getting rid of people who are still happy in their spot and they were essential to Bungie's growth, and how far they've come, to just be like, thanks for all the fish, goodbye.
yeah.
Just get rid of them like that. And um, I don't want to. I want to give some good news too that came out of other news reports,
Okay, good. Give us some good news. We need something.
and is that it is always the job of the higher ups to help prevent the layoffs if they don't mind taking what's called a cut in their bonuses, or not accept a bonus.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, if you're making millions of dollars as a CEO, and the rest of your staff wants 1% of that, maybe you could just give up that bonus. It's that easy. So on the other end of the spectrum, at their last meeting and financial information, Nintendo announced that their retention rate for their employees is 99.8%. I don't know about you, but that's pretty good. The
That's
only
a
thing that's
lot.
going to keep it 100% is if they like hold your arm and be like, "Where are you going? To the bathroom? Okay, you can go. Where are you going? I think I want to leave. How about we do this?" Okay,
Yeah. I need to move to another country. I died. Like,
like to my knowledge, a few people left Nintendo to start new companies, to start a new chapter in their lives, to start a new venture. None of them were like, they didn't need us. Everybody so far has willingly left,
mm-hmm.
and on very good terms, because they say they want to achieve new challenges. So that's where that 0.2, and they don't get their perfect 100 happens. But I'm like,
I mean, look at
come on,
Martinet.
guys.
He's not going to be voicing Mario anymore, but they made a new job for him. Like, he still has something to do. They're like,
Like
hey,
they,
we
they
want to
have
have a
to
new voice.
they have to realize that the fervor for these games, especially the QA department being kind of gutted almost completely here,
Yeah.
as well as all these other places, that whoever's left, you got to think of the morale. You have to think of now the output the employees are going to give you for a while. So I think the delay is more because they need to save up some money to give the employees free pizza and make them happy again.
Well, I mean, how are these people going to feel while they're moving into this new headquarters,
Knowing it
looking
costs
around?
those jobs.
Yeah, going around like, how good is this building that is it worth my friends and other colleagues that worked here? These other people that we had, enjoying our time and doing these things and building these worlds, they're gone. But, oh, hey, maybe we have a nicer coffee bar now. I don't know.
And it begs the question of how this will affect any kind of collaborations or meetings they've had with some of these people
Mm-hmm.
to help get these games to where they are today, that they're gone. So they can't ask an industry veteran because you got rid of an industry veteran.
Yep. So, I mean, it's just a total mess. Um, I lost my train of thought there for a second. They were already having trouble like with their QA with Destiny and so forth. So those people are, with that being destroyed, that's going to be even less testing towards Destiny
Watch them
happening.
announce a beta.
Yeah.
You
Okay.
test it.
I remember what I was going to think of here. So in regards to like people were blaming, they were like, oh, well, this is Sony's fault. I was like, I actually don't think it is. Activision was blamed before for Blizzard with Destiny 2, when they were saying the microtransactions, that's why it's all happening. And before that, people were trying to blame Xbox or Microsoft. Now they're trying to blame Sony. At some point, you have to look at it and go like, hey, the people at Bungie are not managing themselves correctly, and others are being fired and having to pay for their incompetence in this regard. It's just, I know they're trying to close out Destiny 2. This DLC is supposed to be the end of that, and then, see where it goes from there. If we get a Destiny 3, if we have enough people to do that. So yeah, I think this comes down on their heads for, these decisions happening, especially in this way. Because I quit playing Destiny 2 a while back. Hell, I quit playing around the time the first DLC was coming out. Do you remember that was around the same time the PC version launched? And
so you have to realize that when Destiny 1 came out, the type of gameplay it was and the just the pedigree it had of who was behind it was unmatched. There was nothing like it. There was no copycats yet. They were trying something new and it caught fire. And It was kind of what's happening here is that they succeed so much they don't know where to go from there, and they think that it's going to just stay that way. But then they don't know when eventually somebody learns what people loved about it and people hate about it, and they take that input and another company makes a new game, and now there's tons of Destiny ripoffs like Outriders and even Apex, and even for the
Anthem,
two people who are playing it, Anthem. Thank you. There's all those ones that just come out of the woodwork. So now Destiny's not looked at as like the special, best one, because now it's not holding the same graphical fidelity as these new ones coming out are. And there's stiff competition. And for Bungie and Destiny to kind of just, coast, something was going to happen. And Sony acquiring them were just like, hey, we see most of the players are on PlayStation, so we're just going to take advantage of that. We're still going to give you, what you need to make the games, but if you're not being managed well, like you said, all that's going to fall apart. And it's not Sony's fault; it's Bungie's fault. You have to make sure everything's structured correctly, and that you have contingency plans for when competition starts to overcome you, and that your game's not special anymore. And it's getting to the point where, spoilers, you're having to take characters that are gone and bring them back, saying, remember this person? Come back and play.
Right. I mean, if you look at it, how like Blizzard handled World of Warcraft, that game was the most popular in the world, and it's kind of dropped down a lot because you have things like Final Fantasy 14 that have just eaten its lunch. But World of Warcraft's still making money. They're still making content. Like we'll probably talk about on the next show, but they announced 3 new expansions for it today. So they're able to keep that going and kind of be like, hey, we know where our place is with this. We're just going to work with that go, instead of just going, oh, well, they're better. We're trying to make ours different. So
yeah, like we can cover the next one, but they even introduced ways of getting new players again. So they're like, we hear you. We don't want you to be overcumbered by, just like Destiny, the number of expansions that you're going to walk in and not know what to do. They're doing their part to be like, we're going to give you some form of way in to kind of reconnect, whether you've never played it before or you haven't played for years. And for Destiny, they have nothing like that. Destiny's just like, we're free to play, so you can download us for free, but all the expansions cost money, and everybody's going to have a better gun than you. Go.
Yeah. And, flip side of that, Final Fantasy 14, you can get the free trial and play that for, I don't know the whole spiel. My son could just rant off that whole thing, but you can play for like however many hours and, basically play the game for free massively with most of the content.
World of Warcraft does the same thing. You can play until a certain level as well.
Yep.
No problem. And existing players actually get rewards for referring and helping new players get in.
Yep.
So, come on, Bungie.
Yeah, they need to kind of get that sorted out a little bit better. Like I said, I don't think this had anything to do with Sony. I don't think this is any decision on theirs.
Yeah,
This is coming down from the heads of Bungie, just kind of not doing their job. All right. This next one's kind of a fun one to talk about. A Nintendo patent from 2022 has gone public, fueling wild speculation on the Switch 2. And you guys can't see it here, but I included this in the show notes so that we can see it. Keep in mind, if a patent becomes public from Nintendo, most likely it will have nothing to do with the actual item.
correct.
But I love the idea behind this because it's kind of a fun mix of a Wii U, a 3DS, and a Switch, where it looks like a 3DS. It's got a screen on the top that can be disconnected and they can wirelessly communicate where each one can become its own system to play between each other, almost like a dummy system. Or you can flip it shut and have a screen on the outside you can mess with. It's such a weird idea, but I like the fact Nintendo's just like, yeah, let's just throw this on the wall and see what happens. Let's take a look at it. This will never be what the Switch 2 is. I don't expect this whatsoever.
I looked at it and I hated it.
Hated it.
If you want to do two screens, just have it where the Switch 2 like device can tell the TV to be the second screen.
And it might still have the option to do that. This might be while it's on the go. And I like the fact that if this did work, you could disconnect that top screen, which should have its own controls, and be able to hand that to somebody. But then you got to worry about independent batteries. Like, what if the top isn't charged as much as the bottom? Vice versa.
Yeah, and I'm going to go ahead and say, Nintendo, I'm glad this was leaked, so now we know this isn't happening. But as soon as you make something dramatically different, drastically different from everybody else, then you're not going to get as much support as you'd like, because people know that they have to jump through extra hoops to make it work on your system. That's why the Wii U and the Wii, as good as they did in certain aspects, they didn't get the games that we wanted to get on them, because the main reasons were your either control types would not work, or having two screens were counterintuitive to their development, so they couldn't develop for that as well.
I would kind of push back on that a little bit. I don't think everything has to be homogenized down to the same controls. Otherwise, we'd still be playing on an Atari stick, because, every time a system came out, people are like, oh, this is too many buttons. This is too different. We have to change it to work on this system or that system. And
except now we thrive in a world of cross-play, cross-save, cross-progression. But if your game's different, there's going to be issues.
Yeah, but I mean,
don't get me wrong.
You want nothing. How many things would not change if they'd all stayed the same? Like if we hadn't.
No, don't get me wrong. Back in the day, having, say, Jurassic Park for your Super Nintendo and your Genesis, you got two way different games.
Yeah,
and I adored that, and that was part of my love for a lot of things that came out on the Wii. Is when they did get Call of Duty, they had exclusive features because they couldn't have like a big online lobby that worked well, so they had to make co-op modes, and it became like a different type of game. So there's good to be had, but in this layoff heavy, not too much ingenuity unless you're an indie developer type atmosphere, we can't have that patent come to light. No.
I mean, the controllers we have now, even like look at the PS5 controller with that one. You're going to have motion. You're going to have the touchpad. You're going to have the rumble on the, for the built into it, the triggers. There's a lot of extra features that, bring function to the games that the others don't have. Not in every feature. There's some of them the Switch has, there's some the Xbox are looking at. But it's nice having some of those, especially like when I'm playing Spider-Man, you can feel the tension of the web. And as you're playing around, I don't want everything being the same. Even we're talking about Dead Space Extraction. That was originally, it was brought over to the Wii, or it was originally made for the Wii because of the way those controllers were. They could do light gun games and stuff like that they couldn't on other systems easily, because it kind of resolved an issue that modern televisions caused. You couldn't have CRT type light guns anymore. So I like the idea of having some standards, and I want the basic standards there, but I like when they do extra things as well, because we don't know, some of those extra things may become the standards. You know,
I want the extra things to be mostly internal, like software based, and I want the hardware patents or things or let's use that bad word, gimmicks. I just don't want them to be too invasive to what people would like. Like if they say, "I love the Nintendo current system. I'd love to have my game on there, but I don't want to hear a but unless it can't run on it," which is fair enough to how they
you're
do
always going to
things.
have that where people are going to be, but for that, as they kind of fight
But
around with it.
as you can see, like for most intents and purposes, the Joy Cons do a good job, and they've had a negative stigma due to the drifting happening mostly with them, and it's gotten fixed in recent revisions where they've put in pieces that kind of fix the whole thing. And drift has been a problem for generations,
Yeah.
so it's just they were the newest target. But all in all, like I don't find myself using the Joy Cons much at all. And after all the stuff it was touted that it had, WarioWare and House of the Dead and 1-2 Switch will get me to take off my Joy Cons. But otherwise, it's my 80-hour battery life Pro controller.
See, for me, I use the Joy Cons themselves off the Switch actually a lot. Um, Especially if I'm traveling, if I'm out, flying on an airplane, I'll set the system up, just hold the Joy Cons comfortably and be playing with it. I switched my sticks out, so I don't have standard sticks. I have the Hall effect sensor ones, which, by the way, after a lot of play, have been working great, and I kind of
Don't
wish they would just go to that.
don't use them on
Permanently.
Xbox.
Huh?
Don't use them on Xbox. Unauthorized.
Oh God, I actually don't know if that'd be the case. I'm kind of curious now because I have to fix a controller here soon, for somebody else. I need to test that and see if it's going to freak out and think that I've done something. Oh crap, that's a good point. um, but I don't know. Whatever Nintendo does, I think is going to be enjoyable.
Yeah,
Even the Wii U
I think they have
gamepad.
enough feedback, especially from the low and high of Wii U to Switch
Mm-hmm.
reception. I think they know how to do things now. I don't think they're gonna suddenly be like, it attaches to your nose for smell-o-vision. So I don't think they're gonna go too wild anymore. I think whether people like it or not, Nintendo's not gonna go too crazy anymore.
Like I liked the function of the Wii U gamepad. And there were a lot of companies that, even for simple stuff, like you talk about, like, oh, if they can't do it, it'll be too complicated. Even just putting a map down there was really useful for a lot of games. Like, that was a game changer in Wind Waker when they did that. Some of them, like the Call of Duties, were really creative because you could play the same game that you could play on other consoles, but you can have two people locally, one person on the TV with a Pro controller, one on the gamepad itself, play co-op or play against each other, or even go online and play multiplayer together on that same system. Like, that was a nice use, but it had the same controls as everybody else. The only difference was it had an option for an extra screen, and you didn't have analog triggers, which, god dang it, Nintendo, give me analog triggers again. I want my analog triggers back from Mario Kart. Um, so it's going to go back and forth. Now, either way, let's be honest, we're both going to get whatever the hell the next Switch is.
Oh yes, I've already
No,
pre-ordered whatever.
even if it does clip to your nose, you're gonna buy it. I'm gonna buy it.
Yeah, I'm
Who are
playing
we kidding?
I'm playing Pokemon Sleep, for crying out loud. Come on now.
I don't want to hear another thing out of you.
I just don't want Nintendo to be left in the dust again.
It's a trade-off, I think. Um, you're gonna have left in the dust no matter what you do for certain things. People are gonna complain, oh, it's not powerful enough unless they make something like a Series X.
You
Or
don't know how happy I was to see Red Dead Redemption on the console.
I need to pick that up on
And
there.
even the old Grand Theft Autos. It's like, thank you.
Oh god, I wish those were just good ports. I mean, Witcher 3 ran great on that thing to me. So I mean, I was so happy to see that. But yeah, I do understand where you're coming from that. hopefully my point was coming across as well on my side, that I like weird things on occasion, because you don't know where that weird thing could become the standard, but it also differentiates everything. I don't want 3 boxes that do the same thing.
And
And I think that's bad. We already have 2 that do the same damn thing.
As an aside, I'm tentatively scared for the future. And I'm thankful that Nintendo kind of pushes a lot for physical because of the love of having something in your hands.
Yeah.
Because we live in a society. No, we live in a world now where the newest iPhone can play PS5 games when it got those Capcom games like Resident Evil.
Yeah.
So seeing that mobile is no longer an inferior processing device, that being on mobile means it's just another platform it's on. And then hearing stuff even like Apple Arcade, where they have such deep pockets that the recent new Sonic game that they announced, Sonic Dream Team, it's exclusive to Apple Arcade.
So I was like, cool, it just didn't release then.
They pulled in Nintendo, and they were like, we're going to help you complete development on it and everything, kind of like Bayonetta. So I was just like, please don't go all digital because of this, because it's scary that if mobile can run PS5 games, then people are like, why do we need discs?
Well, the thing with that is kind of a reverse of what you're talking about, like adding stuff, but that also could level the playing field to remove basic things. We're going to have motion and touch controls on this larger market with a cell phone. Why do we need to support buttons or, the features of these controllers or basic stuff like that? We could go simplified controls and have a larger market. And then you're kind of reversing where it's like, oh, we have extra gimmicks you won't support. Well, we've got basic crap you're not supporting because it's not basic on this even simpler device. And I know you can connect controllers and stuff to it, but most people are just going to play on the phone with the touch screen. So that's going to affect development, kind of reverse of what we talked about. You can oversimplify as much as you can overcomplicate.
The next 5 years will be interesting.
Yeah. And I go out of my way when I can to get physical releases of digital stuff. Like I said, the Dead Space 2 that had the Dead Space Extraction. I only found out about this the other day, that it even existed, because I thought Dead Space Extraction for PS3 was digital only permanently. Same thing, like that's what happened with House of the Dead Overkill. As far as I know, there is no means to get a physical copy of it. But then I also picked up stuff like this, which has got Trials HD, Limbo, and Explosion Man for 360. So even if the store goes down or I have to switch systems, I can still play these games. And they are good games, so get them. They're fun. So, anyways.
Wait. What? Are you talking about House of the Dead 4 or House of the Dead Overkill?
Overkill. House of the Dead 4 they released on Switch, and it's terrible.
Well, that's the first one. That's the first one remade.
Oh, that's right.
The fourth one was stuck on PS3 digital.
Okay.
But Overkill is on both PS3 and Wii.
Physically? I thought it was only the Wii. I thought it was digital only for PS3.
Yeah, there's a regular version on the Wii, and then there's the extended cut on PlayStation 3.
Oh, okay.
Four is lost to digital.
Yeah, which sucks.
And arcades, of course. But
yeah, I did not know that. I'm going to look that up.
It is the one it is the one House of the Dead that's kind of like lost to digital.
That sucks.
Console owners. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, after that discussion on the digital future and why we need physical, let's move on to just a digital update to a Mario Kart that we need to get a physical release, but we're still excited for. The final Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Booster Course Pass Wave 6 was revealed and will launch November 9th. So it's November 4th as we record this. So by next week, we should already have these available to play. And hopefully we'll get something organized where we can all fight it out, because I know Rachel has said she will kill us all and play some Mario Kart. But the tracks that we are getting, and we'll go down this, it feels kind of lackluster to me on this final run. I kind of wish we had some more bangers, but whatever. We got Rainbow Road from the Wii, Madrid Drive from Tour, DK Mountain from GameCube, which that's a good one, Daisy Circuit from Wii, Piranha Plant Cove, which is from Mario Kart Tour, Bowser Castle 3 from the Super Nintendo, Rome Avanti from Tour, and Rosalina's Ice World from 3DS. They did also announce that we'll be getting a few new Mii costumes, including one that you only get for scanning Daisy. So, enjoy that, Steve. Your Daisy costume. I will make sure to wear that every time I race you.
I will set items to all blue shells. And I'll just not move my vehicle. Like I'll just stand on a question block and my light
just ruin the game. Oh,
exploding
man.
her. Yeah.
Why'd the podcast end? Blue shell. But we're also getting a music jukebox function, which I'm okay with. I love listening to the music in a lot of these. So I really hope we eventually get a physical release. I'm worried we're going to have to get another release of this on the next Switch to get all this. So
interesting but depressing fact.
Oh, God.
Is right now you can pre-order it, but there is a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe Plus Booster Course Pass coming out in Japan.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, it's out. Okay, so it's out. And looking into the details, it says that please be informed that the majority of the booster courses in the pass are already included in the game cartridge, and there will be a patch for you to download Wave 6 upon launch.
That's right. We talked about this before because I wondered why in the hell are they making this? Why didn't you just wait and put the whole thing on there? Like you were right there.
So thankfully, it's a patch, but yes, it's not all on cart. Maybe they'll do it, but it's already out now, so they can't do anything about it. But it surprised me because I was like, wait, Nintendo's, what year is it? Because Nintendo just released a complete edition-ish.
Yeah, like that's the same thing happened with Metroid Dread. You can find a copy of that out now that has all the updates and DLC included with it.
Like,
So,
I'm sorry, but say May or June of next year, like when Nintendo's running out of monthly releases before the Switch 2, Smash Bros. Ultimate with everything on it for like $70 or $80. I don't even care. I don't even care if it's $100 and you get like a sticker with it. I'll buy it.
I will too.
Just to have a complete edition.
I will be there just going like, give it to me. I don't care. I have no shame. Just do it.
It would be like so smart to do that because then people would be like, hey, so we're going to leave for a while, but here is like everything for Smash. And I mean everything included.
Now, if they released a new Switch, the new system, and they had a Mario Kart 8 Deluxe again that had all the content and a Smash Brothers that had all the content, and those were $70 each, I'd be like, fine.
We'd buy it again.
Yeah,
we
day
wouldn't
one.
be happy, and we'd talk about it on the podcast, but we'd buy it again. It's kind of like
we're physical whores. I'm okay with that.
It's kind of like Bethesda fans in Skyrim. Dang it, I'll buy another edition.
I don't even want to think about how many times I've bought Skyrim. Oh, God. It's almost as bad as thinking how many times I bought Super Mario Brothers, but yeah. I bought that a lot, actually.
Or how many versions of Doom you have. It's like, yeah.
Oh, at least Doom, those are different. Like, each one is unique for how they're ported. Like, Super Mario Brothers is Super Mario Brothers, man.
Unless you're playing on Game Boy, then
it's zoomed in Super Mario Brothers.
Then you play on Game Boy Color, and there's all these differences in photo modes. But anyway.
True. Speaking of another Super Mario Brothers that we'll buy, Super Mario RPG Remake has unveiled some new details through their overview trailers and advertisements. So I think this is one you added. So you want to go through some of these differences, Steve?
Yeah. So some are I would say just quality of life improvements. So we have the level up screen is different.
Okay.
Characters will now appear on a stage instead of using a pipe.
Ooh.
You can now swap party members mid battle. That's really nice.
Oh,
wondering
nice.
if they keep their hit points or not. My favorite addition, because especially if they if they go funny or if they go lore, I'll be happy. Either way, is there will be an in-game bestiary included. Thank you, Nintendo. For people who know, you'll know the name. And for people who don't, you'll see. But the Kulex boss battle is back, and he will have his original sprite look. So, retaining that.
Oh, Lord.
There are rumors swirling that there may be another special boss included in the game, accessed via a new special stone. So, stay tuned for that. The game launches in literally 16 days.
I can't
And
wait. Jennifer is losing her mind. She
as
wants to
well
play
as
this so
being
bad.
able to swap between the new and the old music, and the new music is still done by the original composer. So it's like Nintendo, you keep, you know, giving us hits. The newest thing that's kind of swirling around this game, though, that I will add,
Mm-hmm.
is that people don't know who developed it because they don't believe it's in-house Square. They don't believe it's Nintendo. The latest rumor, which I would love for this to come true, and so would Chris, the
Uh-huh.
latest rumor is that it is a newly reformed Alpha Dream that is now in-house with Nintendo. Basically working on it and just called something else.
That would be great. Because I'd be
So it's like,
wondering how the licensing for that would work. That would be, I mean, it'd be good to bring them in. Alpha Dream was so good. And it was very sad when they went away because it's like you guys worked your butts off, made great games,
so
and
yeah,
did
I
not
can't wait
deserve
to
to
hear who
close.
worked on this one, because we've heard all kinds of stuff in the past with I think it was pronounced Tos or Tose.
Tosei, yeah,
Worked on a lot
Tosai,
of
yeah.
things, and you had started with a G. There was another one that worked on a bunch.
Don't know that one.
It's gonna drive me nuts.
Look it up. We have the internet. We don't care. While you're looking that up, I did notice one other change. I don't think Samus is sleeping in the bed this time. I think it's Link now. They showed like a little cartoon version of Link asleep in the bed. And I think it was just Samus. Was Link in the original one? It's been so long I haven't played
It
it.
was Samus.
That's what I thought. I didn't know if like there was a way to get both of them, but
I think
um,
Link is elsewhere.
yeah. But now it looks like they have Link in the bed, so they may have changed out Samus for that reference, which kind of sucks. I like seeing Samus, but Link almost feels like he'd fit better. So we shall see. I know. I think it was the original game. You could turn into the 8-bit sprite. Also, I'm wondering if that's been updated. Which I'll
I
find
don't
out when I
think.
play. I
Yeah,
don't know.
a lot of those things I don't think they really messed with too much. I know they added the when you do their special moves, you get a little cutscene.
Nice.
What is the?
It's gonna bug you now.
Oh wait, I almost got it.
Oh, wait. Drum roll, please.
How do I spell it? How do I spell it?
I don't know.
Is it Grivo?
Grivox?
And what?
Grivox or something like that? I think I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, we're on the right page.
Well, there's Gravox, but I don't know. That's probably not
I
it.
don't know. Somebody join our Discord and tell me what I'm talking about. Okay, Grizo, Grizo.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where that came from.
Oh, that's great.
Grizo, because they worked on Triforce Heroes. Sorry, guys. They worked on the Majora's Mask and Ocarina of Time 3D. They worked on Ever
Those are
Oasis, which
great.
is awesome. They worked on Link's Awakening, the new one.
We were talking about that today, Brent and I, how much we love that game.
Grizo. I was like, it starts with a GR. Okay, guys, you can still join our Discord, but you can relax. I got it.
Yeah, you can tell us anyways. We'll take the answer twice. We'll forget by the time we're done recording.
If you want to be that character from Sonic and say, well, actually, then go for
it. College Humor's gonna come after us. Actually, I love that show. So you had another little bit of news here. If you want to continue on with our next one.
So, as well as their unfortunate hyenas going DOA, they did have like a financial report, and a big thing was that they had in development what they would call a super game.
Who is they?
The Sega higher ups, like, we have this being made, and the other part of they were the people saying, well, what's a super game? And people are thinking, okay, it's not like your releases you're already putting out, Sega. It's not like your Like a Dragon series. It's not your Sonics or anything like that. This is supposed to be like something that they've been cooking for quite some time, that they're going to put all their eggs in one basket. And hopefully there's no NFTs. But
oh god,
it's on track to release by March 2026. The budget is expected to be, because of what they said it would entail, be around, I don't know, 800 million. And from what I could research and looking around different threads like Reddit and such is most people could only find that even Grand Theft Auto 5 of its size was about 250 million. And I don't even know if Grand Theft Auto 6 is spending this much. We don't know. But anyway,
800 million is so excessive.
So it's supposed to come out by 2026. The game was first announced in 2021, and yeah, the game, that's it. They expressed its consideration of spending a whopping amount of over 800 million on development, but it'd be weird to see if they actually go ahead with that, or if they decide to just be like, we're going to spend even more because we needed more money. My question is, do we have any ideas what this game of that amount of money would even be?
I have no idea.
There's, I agree with the part that if they're going to make something that size, you better use a lot of your IPs. You better get your money's worth.
800 million, like, could they be that could be like a damn new console. Like, we could be getting the Dreamcast 2 with this exclusive
have
game. I don't
our
know.
open world ish game like a Dragon. So unless they do something to make that game the next Shenmue in terms of scope, and then add on all the IPs as different things, which, like I said, are already in Like a Dragon series.
Mm-hmm.
So that kind of takes it away from, well, what else would you spend this on? And all I can say is, please don't be games as a service, because that's a lot of money to spend on something that could get shut down.
God, no kidding. Like, they've already tried that with Hyena, and that got shut down.
Just make this the biggest, most comprehensive game you've ever thought of. Make it.
It's going to be a pachinko game with a cartoon.
Hero number 2 or something like that. Just make it insanely in depth. That's all. That's all I can ask.
Well, on top of this, there was other news that Sega was wanting to make Sonic bigger than Mario, and I'm like, you guys are going to have to really step up your game, like, to get the sales up there at the same as the Mario games. Make movies that make more than the Mario movie. You're not doing that overnight. Like, you're gonna have to be better. And the Sonic movies are really good. I liked both of them, but they did not come close to the Mario movie.
Yeah, the only one that's fighting with the Mario movie and had a tremendous opening weekend for even something that was available on streaming the same day was Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yeah, I meant to bring that up during the Halloween one. The boys went and saw that. They loved it. They absolutely loved
it. It made 131 million over the Halloween weekend, which beats every Halloween release to date. So it is now like the highest. But the only thing that made more during its opening weekend was the Mario movie. So it's like that.
Yeah, so, I think it was already almost like 3 times the original budget. So they're well into
it cost 25 million to make, and I think most of that was spent on making sure that those animatronics were real and not CGI.
Which apparently one of them moved while they were not filming, and I was like, yeah, I'd be done for the day. Like, we're done. Goodbye. So other terrifying, horrible things that we're looking into. Disney is set to buy up full control of Hulu for $8.6 billion. So they got most of Hulu when they purchased Fox, and now this would give them total control on that. And I wonder, do you think they will keep Hulu running as a separate entity where they can kind of put off things that they don't want on Disney Plus as a separate market thing with the sports and all that? Or do they gut it and just take everything and move it over to make Disney Plus the one that you need to get for everything?
DeZulu. I don't know.
DeZulu. Hulu-y? I don't know.
Knowing Disney is they're going to force bundles, I think.
Probably. I kind of worry that we're like, oh, okay, cool, you have both. Now we're going to raise the price on both of them.
But stay tuned for episode 108 of Zenspath, where we're going to talk about layoffs over at Hulu.
Oh, God, I hope not. That's terrible. We got a couple other purchases this week as well. Digital Eclipse is being bought out by Atari for $6.5 million. I was really worried about this one at first because Digital Eclipse makes some of the best museum games, I think, around. And they have come out and said that they're still free to work on other companies' games. They're not going to be just locked down to Atari, which, I mean, the Atari 50th game that they did was amazing. The games themselves were okay to play just because they are old Atari games. But the documentary side of it, all the stuff they had in there, the fact that they managed to get, old Atari people talking about how much cocaine they were doing, I'm like, good Lord, y'all went right into this. Like, they're so good at getting to the bottom of these things and making an experience around it. I'm trying to see if they're going to release a physical copy of Karateka so I can get
Karateka?
that. Karateka, Karateka, whatever. Even they couldn't make up their mind. Because
I
I want to get that just to
I don't know who
experience
owns
it.
all the licenses, but I think it's WB. But I was happy to hear that yes, we're allowed to work on other titles,
Yes.
because I would die for a new collection for the newer systems, especially for Switch. Just give me a all 3 volumes of Midway Arcade Treasures.
Hopefully
And I'm
not
saying
next.
that because um there was news that a long time ago,
Mhm.
but at Games, love them or hate them, mostly hate them. Um, they bought the rights straight up to Ms. Pac-Man,
Oh shit.
so they make money off of Ms. Pac-Man being released. You have
Mm.
to ask them the rights to get Ms. Pac-Man on a machine. So Namco, creators of Pac-Man, have to consult with At Games and pay them a stipend to have Ms. Pac-Man, because it used to be owned by Midway.
Mm.
And everybody's always scared that At Games is buying up all the classic old titles.
Mm-hmm.
Like in terms of not owning the IP per se, but owning the opportunity to put them digitally or to put them on different devices, just the distribution of it. And I'm like, stop that.
They want to
Because
live
I
off
want my
nickel and
Midway
diming.
Arcade Treasures to come out.
Yeah.
So if you look up any kind of history of that game, you're not going to like what you read.
Ugh. That's not good. Hopefully we don't have another episode talking about Digital Eclipse getting layoffs, because that is a company that does not need to be. They do not lay these people off. Let them do what they want to do. You
Yeah,
will make money. We will
I think
benefit.
for that price, since they didn't like spend a lot of money, we're fine. Atari's not going to be like, we need that money back.
Yes. The last purchase that we have to go here, Devolver have bought Astroneer Dev's System Era for an undisclosed sum. So Devolver tends to be pretty good in what they're making, so I'm not too worried about that. I'm hoping
Yeah,
they'll.
it's if you look up this recent news, you'll see
Mhm.
that there was another company called Grimsoft, I think it was here,
Okay.
that they purchased earlier this year, and that was making sure they could put up more games. I think it's Grimsoft. Keep me humble, internet. Um, but they bought the developers of Serious Sam. That's why you see Devolver putting out Serious Sam collections.
Oh, that's right.
Um, so if you look at their history in the last 5 years, they've snapped up all these developers as kind of like their lineup of in-house devs. And this one was more like a even a long-running joke, because they had the chance to buy them 2 years ago and they passed, and they said, "Well, we made up for not working with them in the past by buying them today." But
All
both
right.
sides were nothing but happy. So it sounds like it was something that was just, "Hey, do you want to join our team?" type thing. Like, do you want? We have all these teams in house, and we'll help put your stuff on physical media. We'll help promote your stuff because you guys are just little indie guys.
Mm-hmm.
So Devolver Digital owns the guys who made the Gungeon series, the Gunbrella
Love
game that
Gungeon.
just came out, Gato Roboto. Like, these are all Devolver Digital in-house devs now. So it's nice, and I hope it's more like what you see with you know even though their naming conventions are horrible, what you see with Nintendo when they have like, this was made by this studio and R&D 1 and R&D 2.
Right.
Back when Sega had AM 1, 2, and 3 and stuff like that.
Yeah. So at least we know they seem to be in good hands. They're not going to just stop making games or get merged in to do stuff. They're not going to be assigned to make Call of Duty. We know that. So, all right, our last story for tonight. Kind of a confusing one for some, a happy one for Steven, apparently. Twitch is being dropped by the Switch, or is dropping the Switch. If you already have it downloaded, you'll lose access on January 31st, 2024. But if you have not downloaded it and want to get it for some reason, you have until November 6th to get it. So by the time this comes out on November 5th, you'll have a day. Get it. If you listen to this on Monday, it's too late. Go watch Twitch anywhere else, like your phone, your iPad, your laptop, or anything else other than a Switch. So, yeah. I still find it funny when you were telling me how much you just do not like watching Twitch on Switch, which that rhymes. They could have played with that.
That's because I would love to watch Twitch on Switch. It would be grand. But where I stand is that it does not work. It never loads. It never plays.
We need to make a Twitch on Switch, like Green Eggs and Ham mockery. I'd love to watch my Twitch on Switch, but the server said no.
On the dock, could not on the TV. Could not being streamed. It would not load for GDQ. It would not load for me or you. It was just a mess.
Oh, I got to make a clip out of that. That's great.
I get the same error. It just says it's your network, and I'm like, bitch, I have Wi-Fi 6 in the corner, 4 antennas pumping out Wi-Fi, and I have the router
radiated here.
And I have the router also pushing Wi-Fi. I was like, there's no bad network in my house. How dare you, Nintendo, say everything works except for Twitch?
Oh, maybe that's why they can't get Netflix to work on there, because they just
before they shut it down. When that would happen, I would just load up like Twitch or YouTube on the Wii U and it would work fine. That's disgusting.
Oh no.
Thankfully, YouTube works great on the Switch now, but back then it's like, no.
They really could not figure out streaming. Like Hulu would work. I used to watch Hulu on my Switch when I would be traveling, but I still don't understand why Netflix, Disney Plus, nothing else ever came to it. So I'm wondering, do you think the Switch 2 will get any of these streaming services, or are they just going to ignore it again?
It depends on how, I guess, how powerful or what kind of internet connectivity and such that they use, and how fast it can process it. Because to be honest, and I don't know why it's this way, you can tell me if it's different for you.
Mm-hmm.
But if I test my network connection on the Xbox Series X,
I
test my network connection on PlayStation 5, I get commonly, because I am fiber, I made sure I am, I get a commonly 600 to 800 download, and I get about like 300 to 400 upload. It's beautiful.
I don't think I get that.
On a bad day, I get like 200 upload, and
on a bad day,
like I'm bragging, except for the fact I have the Switch OLED, which has the Ethernet port so that you can be wired.
The problem with that,
you can be wired. However, both on the one where it says it's connected wired and Chris's where it's wireless, we both get a disgusting download of 36 and an upload of 4.
Good God, that is bad. I'll have to see what mine is. The Ethernet adapter basically still reads as a USB 2.0 adapter, so you're going to be limited to those speeds. Even if I plug in a USB 2.0 Ethernet adapter to my old dock or use the one built in, you're not going to see a difference on speed for that. Wi-Fi is almost faster, but you're still going to get whatever limitation. I'll run mine after this and we'll figure out what it is, because I've been playing wirelessly on mine this whole time. So when we were playing together, I'm just wireless.
And don't get me wrong.
I haven't run the Ethernet to the dock yet. And I'm like, oh yeah, I need to do that.
I foresee people, in our Discord and such yelling at me saying, works fine on mine. Well, maybe your wireless signal was better than 36.4, so that Twitch could be like, we'll run it for you.
Maybe. I said, I want to check mine and see what it is, but it's in the car. I don't want to go get it right now. That'd be kind of weird. Just stop the podcast so I can walk outside and check the internet. All right. So let's go ahead and finish up this with the big question for this week. And Steven, this is another one that you came up with, which I think would be a fun little short discussion to end the show. What is your favorite video game crossover? Not an Easter egg or a cameo, but a crossover video game. I'm going to let you go first on this one so we can hear what you've got, and then I will come up with my answer, which is probably short and basic as hell.
So just to elaborate on the Easter egg cameo.
Yes.
And if you haven't found it already, guys, sorry, spoiler, but when you find the Doom guy in Duke Nukem, that doesn't count as a crossover. It's just an Easter egg. You can't do anything with it except see that he's dead. That's it. The end. Same thing with cameos when you're just like, what's that?
That's a reference.
Because a cameo can just be like a Sonic keychain in a racing game. It's like, okay.
Or just you paying your celebrity crush to say happy birthday. I don't know.
So I'm not gonna mention the obvious crossover, the ultimate one we talked about.
Oh damn it! I was like I said, basic as hell.
But I think for me, my favorite ones, whether or not I even play them, are the ones that just, I can't believe it's coming together. I can't believe that that's in there. So for me, as cliche as it might sound, in the year of our podcast 2023, would be Fortnite. Because where else can Kratos, Master Chief, Sakura, Thanos,
Optimus Prime,
John Wick,
Bumblebee,
Ghostbusters, Michael Myers, Optimus Prime, Naruto, Spider-Man, Batman, that they can all intertwine.
Captain America, Thor, Doom.
So even though I'm mentioning comic properties, there's still a lot of game properties in there that you're like, Kratos and Master Chief, like to get that to even like play on everybody's system and have those characters in there.
Yeah.
Wild. So wild when I see stuff like that. So
I think that requirement to be playable on all the systems is the only reason we have not got a Nintendo character yet.
And there almost was, because in the Epic versus Apple lawsuit they revealed Samus was tried, which I'm like, come on.
I would have bought it. I don't care.
It's because of that, which I thought even brought along the appeal of having now guest characters in fighting games where, I know Link and Soul Calibur was a big one, but in terms of like scope, for me, I like watching all the characters come to Fortnite because it's just insane. They can interact with each other and steal each other's moves and dances and such.
Okay. That is a good one. Now, we joked about the ultimate one for Smash Brothers Ultimate because that is those, but I think my favorite one goes to a simpler time in that it is still Smash Brothers, but it would be Super Smash Brothers Brawl, because that one, with my old school console war veteran of the Super Nintendo Genesis days, is when Sonic the Hedgehog came to Smash Brothers, and we finally had Mario and Sonic could beat the living crap out of each other. And that, we've had so many other characters, including ridiculous third-party ones that showed up in Ultimate and in Wii U and so forth. But the day we found out Sonic was in Smash, I think was just like, all right, that's it. Cards on the table. We're good. We're going. Because Smash Brothers itself has been a tour de force of bringing those characters that I think has only been topped by Fortnite, because that is just a marketing juggernaut. But when Nintendo can get to the point, at least with Ultimate, where they're making Namco, Square, Rare with Microsoft, Konami, all these people basically bend the knee to bring their properties over. Sega with Sonic and Persona, and
yeah, I do appreciate the love they did to those two, from having voice actors reprise, having the music in there.
Yes, the levels,
having their own stages. On another note, did anybody else have the same question when we first saw Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games? Saw the cover art and we're like, wait, Mario and Sonic can run the same speed?
Yeah, shouldn't be possible. I'm pretty sure Sonic would win in the races. That should just be fair.
Is he wearing dampeners to make it fair? Like, what is this?
Do they start it off and like he shoots him with fireballs to like just burn his knees and just run?
Like in his sneakers, he's got like 50-pound weights, and he's just like, all right, you're too slow.
This is the not doped up Sonic. Or maybe it's a doped up Mario. I don't know.
But it's because of that and seeing collaborations now more freely
Mm-hmm.
that I really like. It's just nice to see that kind of camaraderie. Saying like, back then it was a pipe dream, but
Yeah.
with just a few sign offs to reality, it's not as hard as you think.
I think like the other crossover that would kind of come to mind beyond, the big one for that, that I always loved that kind of surprised me, Battletoads and Double Dragon. And that was a whole game of that. Just bringing two excellent Super Nintendo brawlers together and letting that go. If we just want to throw back, a not as obvious reference to a good crossover, that was such a weird game. Like the story made no sense.
Yeah, I
Just
don't know if they switched it nowadays. They've kind of put them together as that they do coexist, and that's like the Double Dragon and the River City Ransom characters. Like the River City Girls has Billy and Jimmy and Marion in it.
that's
As like
right.
what happened to them now, because Marion got tired of getting captured, so she started working out when she was captured. And now she's huge and muscular, so she's like the grappler.
Right.
But talking about a crossover that I didn't consider an Easter egg or a cameo because it
Uh-huh.
was a boss fight
Oh.
is I'm sorry if none of you guys have played River City Ransom, get the Double Dragon Kunio collection today. But if when you're unless they patched it in the River City Ransom game, when you got to the second to last boss,
Mhm.
the students and such would talk about, hey, when you're going to the roof to go against the last guy, you're going to come across the infamous dragon twins. And you were like, okay, yeah, whatever. And you're just thinking they're just going to be like two martial artists or something you're going against. But then on the stage, once you clear it out and you're going to face them next, it plays the Double Dragon theme from the NES. So you're graced with the melody and you're like, is that who I'm really fighting? And then you
Oh
walk over
no.
and yes, it's done in their style, like the River City Ransom style,
Right.
but it's Billy and Jimmy. And you're just like, whoa.
That's great.
So that was one of those. It's just like you can have your Link and Soul Calibur, but Billy and Jimmy and River City Ransom was crazy back then.
Some of the other ones I always liked was like Soul Calibur bringing over like Yoshimitsu, going between a lot of those games because that was kind of a bridge between them. But then you had the really fun set of the three for Soul Calibur 2, where you had Link, which I still think is the best version of that game. The second best being for the Xbox One, which had Spawn, who surprisingly fit well. I mean, you've got possessed demon dudes. Why not have another
And
one
then you had the one
with
who
an
didn't
axe?
make sense.
Yeah, Hayachi on the PlayStation 2 version, who could change his shin pads.
I
That's not
fight
a
with
weapon.
my
That's a leg.
fists and arm bracers. Okay.
They had so many other options they could have brought for that. I don't know why. I mean, they had Kratos in the third one.
Yeah,
He
but
would have.
it's a tale of souls and swords eternally retold, but it's like no fists.
Yeah, everybody has a weapon except for the one guy on PS2. So I mean, fighting games are an easy one for a lot of crossovers. For so many of these we could name, but
Yeah, because I would say like Kratos was probably up there in terms of cameos from being
Mhm.
in Fortnite, Mortal Kombat. We just said it a minute ago. Soul Calibur,
Yeah,
and then he was in Shovel Knight for the PlayStation version. So
that's right. I
he's
forgot
been
about that.
everywhere. The Xbox version of Shovel Knight got Battletoads, which I heard was the best version because of all the homages you got to do, and you
Oh,
went on some
nice.
missions with the Battletoads. But then I think Shovel Knight kind of like took over for a while in terms of being in the most games.
Yeah, he
I'd
showed
be
up in a lot of
surprised
stuff.
to I'd be surprised to know if anybody knows like which character has been a guest in more games.
I'm very curious about that because I know like Guacamelee, that was mostly references, but there was a lot of like the indie fighting games that brought a lot of people together. Um, there was a couple different runners that had characters from a lot of like the indie groups really kind of all got together and would cameo in
Oh
people's
yeah.
stuff a
Mm-hmm.
lot. So yeah.
It got to the point where they got their own games like Blade Strangers and such, where it's like, oh, these are all characters from other games, and
Hmm.
even Blade Strangers was just like, how about when they made the puzzle version, they were like, "How about Astro Boy is around?" And you're like, "Wait, what?"
Yeah, I'll have to go back through and see. I don't know. I think the most cross-referencing cameos may actually be Smash Brothers, if not for Fortnite. Fortnite, I think, be the only one that could really take that that whole beat because of the size of it.
Yeah, because that one probably has the most, if not Fortnite, and if we're going just video games. But then the other one is for one singular character. It might be Shovel Knight because he was even in Smash. So.
Oh, okay. I see what you're talking about. Who was in the most of them? Yeah, I mean, he wasn't a well. He kind of was playable. He can get his armor. Otherwise, he'd be
Because he would come and like dig you and stuff like that. So he was in all these things. So you're like, whoa.
I have to look that up. I'm kind of curious. All right. Well, that was, I think, a fun one. We'll have to get some responses from people so that we can start on the next episode talking about what your thoughts on this question are. So, Stephen, where can they find you on the internet to let us know what they think?
You can argue and basically put down everything we've said on our Discord. You can find me in Discord at N1 Nintendo with a period. That is what they accepted for me. You can see me in the lonely ball pit of Hive at Swantendo. You can see me in the grand opening with only a few customers called Blue Sky at n1nintendo.bsky.social.com, or you can find me in the layoff encrusted world of X at loading_time.
All right. And I'm your host, Jeremy Powers. You can find me over at Blue Sky at Zenspath.com. Instagram and Threads is at ZenspathCom, so Zenspath.com without the period. Twitter, Hive, and Discord is at Zenspath. And then, of course, if you want to watch us stream Dead Space 3 or any of the other games that we've been playing, twitch.tv/Zenspath. And then if you're listening to this podcast and would like to actually see us, including showing off records, making faces, maybe even giving you the bird, I don't know. It happens. You can find that at youtube.com/ZenspathCom. And if you're watching this on YouTube, I'm sorry, I just gave you the bird. You can listen to this on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, I think, still on there, or you can look at zenspath.libsyn, libsyn.com, as well as /site, SITE. So feel free to leave us a review, thumbs up the video, share it with people, whatever we can to try and get more listeners or viewers for the show to spread the word and actually get people to talk to us. So this has been episode 107 of the Zenspath Entertainment Network podcast, and we're out. Peace.
Talk to us.
Please, we're lonely.